Okay, returning to our vector shapes. So we were learning how we could turn straight anchor points at the corners of this rectangle into rounded using the little rounds circle there. It's kind of actually a pretty new addition in Illustrator. But those anchor points will only be curved on one side, right? And they'll still be straight on the other side. So my challenge is, how do I get this shape? Let me unlock the others. How do I get this curve here to be nice and smooth between two different shapes? That is what really trips a lot of students up. Because if you build only this way, where you're just layering a lot of similarly shaped blacks so that they all look like they're the same, there's always going to be a little point there where they don't quite match, right? Now I can get it close, but I'm going to show you the other ways that you make shapes in Illustrator besides the shape tools. Now, what's also nice in Illustrator is it's designed for you to be able to just turn these things off. So I'm just going to turn the eyeballs off, but they're still there, they're still safe. Now I'm going to use a different tool, the one that's actually most prominent in Illustrator, which we did not use in Photoshop. It's right underneath the large selection tool, and it's called the pen tool, and P is the shortcut for it. Now, just like that little animation shows, this is where you can plot anchor points and turn them into curves or straights as you go. But here's the trick. You need to finish it at the end. So you need to end where you began. Otherwise, you have an open path that will automatically fill and you can't control it. And you want a closed path. You want to know exactly what the shape is. Just like if you were cutting something out fully with scissors, you want to go all the way around. So let's try it. Here's the easiest way to learn the pen tool. It's to plot no curves. All right? So even though there's lots of curves in my design, I'm going to do the big shape on the outside. Just like you're cutting it out of paper, I'm going to cut the big shape first, and then I'll cut the little shapes on the inside later. And I'm just going to click, start with a point, and I'm just using a mouse or a trackpad for this. And then I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click, and I'm not going to worry about what it does, right? Because it will turn around once my shape turns around. You see how it's automatically trying to fill. And this is what's called polygonal design, because they're all straight edge shapes. Now, you'll notice I'm plotting a lot more anchor points than the shape tools made, but it gives me a much more distinct shape. And if I have a straight that goes for a while, then I can ease off, right? And just go for a while. So now this is where it gets a little tricky. I have to kind of guess where I'm going. But the beautiful thing is, even if I can't see exactly where I'm going, this is all designed to be able to edit after the fact. So much easier. So before I go too much further, I'm just going to finish. And you'll know you're finished when your pen tool has a little closed circle next to it. That means that you're clicking on the anchor point where you started. So no closed circle next to the cursor. Now there's a closed circle. Now it's a closed path. And I see it's all one thing right there. Okay, now you've been asking about opacity, like you can adjust opacity in Photoshop. It doesn't work to double click on it here, right? It won't show you the dim images. That only works for layers. So instead, what we do is we go to Window whenever we want a new trait, and you look for, it's not called opacity, it's called transparency in Illustrator. And if I open that up, you'll see that it's actually one of these little side windows. Now it's only going to impact this one vector, but I can then take its transparency down just enough so I can see my shapes. Now here's the problem. I've already closed the path and I made it all with straights. How can I now alter it? Well, if I'm on the pen tool and I hover over an anchor point, it will have a little minus sign. And what that will do is subtract the anchor point. That makes sense. But I don't want to subtract it. Command Z. I want to add more. So I'm going to, if I use the pen tool and click anywhere on the path where there isn't an anchor point, it will do the opposite of subtract an anchor point. It will add an anchor point, right? So if I do that, I've added one, but that doesn't mean I can move it. But we know a tool that can move it. What's that tool? The small selection tool. Very good. So I'm just going to add a bunch of anchor points because I know I have a lot more to do. And now I'm going to use the small selection tool, and I'm going to keep them all straight. Yeah, I'm just going to hover over that and then move it where I want it. Move this one back where I want it. Move this one, this new one, where I want it, right? And you know what? I'm not even going to worry too much about, well, no, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm going to show you how this would work, right? I'd plot it there. I'd then move this one here. And you can see how that would go. And don't worry that they're like folding over themselves. You have control of every anchor point all the time. If I ever want to create new anchor points, what do? I click on the pen tool and I just add a bunch. These nice red dots. Then use the small selection tool. I have to click off first, then hover over them. All right, so what's the issue with this? Well, I can get a very clean looking logo, but it's going to be very hard-edged, right? So how do we convert a straight into a curve? Well, in the drawer for the pen tool is what's called the anchor point tool. I have no idea why it's called the anchor point tool. It used to be called the convert anchor point tool. So what this does is this changes straights to curves, and it changes curved anchors to straight anchors. So let's try it. Let's go somewhere where I want a curve, like on this leaf. Or let's do it, I'll do it on the root here. I'm going to hover over this anchor point and I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to drag. And look, it changed it to a curve where I have handles I can play with. Same thing here. Click and drag. Click and drag. It will always drag out handles on both sides, which can be a little much. But if I want this to be nice and smooth, I can click and drag, turn that into a nice curve, which you can't get by just layering two shapes together. So that's the convert anchor point tool. What happens if I click on a curved anchor point with the anchor point tool? It turns it back into a straight. Yes? All makes sense. That's basically everything you can do with an anchor point. It can be either curved on both ends and have handles coming out both sides. It can be curved on just one end and straight on the other, has a handle coming out of one side, or it can be straight on both ends, has no handles. All right, all of that's well and good. How do we continue? Well, what if there was a magic tool that is my favorite tool in Illustrator that they added fairly late in the development of it? It was only added like about 15 years ago, which in the life of Illustrator is not even half of its lifespan. That just allows you to draw the path you want. Wouldn't that be nice? So the tool they have is called the freeform or the curvature pen tool. But I don't think you should use that unless you get a little bit more practice playing with it. So instead, the tool I'm talking about is one that we never use in Photoshop because it's a worthless tool in Photoshop that fills in solid pixels. And this is the pencil tool. So the pencil tool, shortcut for it is N. You'll find it under the paintbrush. We're not using the paintbrush for this project. We'll be using it later. So when you click on the pencil tool, what does this do? This allows you to just draw a path, and as long as you finish it, you get that circle, it will plot the anchors for you. And then you can set its parameters. I'm going to set it with a black fill. Just right in that corner, right? Oh, let's try that again. There we go. Okay. Now, here's what I love about the pencil tool, though. It's not just for creating it once. It's for redrawing it. As long as you start on the path and end on the path, it's like magic scissors. So if I hold down Command while I'm using the pencil tool, it will give me the last selection tool I used. The last selection tool I used was the small selection tool, but it doesn't matter, because if I click it in the middle, it will show me where all of these straight anchor points are, right? And now all I have to do is use the pencil tool, start on the path. It's usually safest to go through at least one anchor. And then end on the path. And you can do this as much as you want. So if any of you have ever done kind of paper cutouts, the beauty of this is you can't make a mistake that you can't undo, right? And then you want to end on the path. And it will plot its anchor points for you. Some of them are curves, some of them are straights. And then I have full control of each of them as I go. So if I want to continue this one, what can I do? I start on the path. And especially for kind of hand-drawn logos like mine, the pencil tool, it's not super clean, though I'll show you how you can make it cleaner, but it can do a lot of the work pretty quickly. So if I want to turn this more into curves, I just redraw it. I start on the path and I end on the path. I start on the path, actually kind of like what I had, and end on the path. But if I want to make them not straights anymore, right? Same thing with this route. Now the pencil tool is up. So what happened there is I didn't end it on the path. So it created a new path on top. But the pencil tool is kind of designed to be used with a tablet. So you can do Command Z. You can hold down the space bar to zoom in. And as long as you start on the path and end on the path, it works pretty well. And with practice, you'll get pretty good. So to be safe, always start through an anchor point. Now here's the other thing I love about the pencil tool. And for those of you who like Procreate and like kind of drawing and painting with the computer, if you double click on the pencil tool, you'll get the pencil tool settings. And you can set it to be super smooth or super accurate. I usually choose this setting right here, where it's a little bit more smooth than accurate. And then say OK. So that way, when I'm trying to draw a curve like this into a straight, into a curve, it's able to do all of that. It's not going to automatically round everything, where if I did all the way smooth, it would. If I want to do this leaf, it will do it pretty nicely. And I can always redo it as long as I start on the path and end on the path. But then I lost my point. So this is kind of the balance and the fine tuning. So sometimes you want the tool to be incredibly clean. And in that case, you want to use the pen tool. So if I know I want this to be perfectly straight, I'm going to use it to delete any anchor points that aren't perfect, right? And I'm going to use the small selection tool to select anchor points and move them exactly where I want them. And you can also use the small selection tool when you have curves to bring in the curve on one side, so now it's a straight on that side.